Hey crew, what's up? Your beloved instructor, Mr. White, is sick with COVID-19. So I'm going to be chatting with you for the rest of the week through Zoom or through videos, stuff like that, when I'm not sleeping. Anyways, today we are talking about commas, all right? These things are really, really important to understand because if you get them wrong, not only will the flow of your writing be way off, but you will look like a total dum-dum to anyone who is reading your stuff. So there are some basic rules about these things that we need to understand in order to prevent all of that unpleasantness. First and foremost, a comma is a punctuation mark, and it indicates a pause between parts of a sentence. It's a shorter pause than a period, which indicates the separation between two sentences. It's also used to separate items in a list and to mark the place of thousands in a large numeral. So we use commas to do a bunch of stuff. But the most important things that we need to understand about commas are the way we use them to create those minute pauses within our writing to control the flow of our ideas and make them easier for our reader to process. So here's a few different rules about utilizing commas. First, you use a comma after an introductory phrase or clause. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my little marker right here. Okay, an introductory clause happens at the beginning of a statement like this. All right. According to Wilbur, good friends who write well are not easy to find. So if you have some kind of introductory information at the beginning of your sentence, you need to make sure that you are utilizing a comma to create that pause that allows your reader to really understand the ideas that you're presenting them. Okay, take a moment here and figure out where in the you try you might need to put a comma yourself. I'll give you like 5 seconds. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. Okay, so if you said right here, you are correct. All right, this is denoting, okay, when this happened. It adds information to the rest of the sentence. It is an introductory phrase, so it needs a comma. All right, I'm gonna erase this stuff now. Erasing the stuff. All right. Our next situation where you will need to use a comma is when you have a parenthetical phrase or clause. So what is a parenthetical phrase or clause? Well, it's a little bit of extra information that describes something within the sentence, in the middle of a sentence. Typically, this isn't a positive, but it can be any other kind of little extra piece of information that you would put in the middle of a sentence. So as you can see right here, Wilbur, E.B. White's famous pig, laments that it is difficult to find a good friend who writes well. We've got our regular sentence. Wilbur laments that it is difficult to find a good friend who writes well. This E.B. White's famous pig thing is a little extra piece of information, so we have a comma before and after it, allowing the reader to pause to figure out what's going on. Take a look at down here with our you try. My appointment with Dr. Hosback, my podiatrist, was in 2 days. Oop, there's an extra in. I'm going to do that right there. You didn't see nothing. All right, we'll give you 5 seconds. Where does the comma or commas, where do they go? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes, so this information right here, my podiatrist, is not necessary for the complete sentence. It's extra information. It's a parenthetical phrase, so it needs to have commas on either side. My appointment with Dr. Hosback, comma, pause. My podiatrist, comma, pause, was in 2 days. And we will now move on to our next one. Okay, now we use a comma to separate two independent clauses linked by a coordinating conjunction. You guys know conjunctions. Those are the fanboys right there. They're what we put in the middle of two independent clauses, or in other words, sentences, complete sentences, to link them together. So as we see in our example here, Charlotte promised Wilbur she will save his life, and she ponders long and hard about how to do so. Now, oh no, there we go. There we go. Oh, exit drawing. There we go. So here, you'll notice our comma at the end of a complete sentence. Charlotte promised Wilbur she will save his life. So we've got our subject and our verb, Charlotte promised. We've got our comma. The comma comes before the conjunction. It goes comma and then conjunction. And then we have another complete sentence. She ponders long and hard how to do so. We'll give you a moment or two now to take a look at the one at the bottom, our you try. I still couldn't believe he ate the whole thing, but I still had to present my souffle. Where will we be putting our comma? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you said after the word thing and before the word but, you are correct. Remember, the comma must come before the conjunction, or else you will look like a dope. Make sure you got that sucker in the right place. And our next situation. We use a comma to separate items in a series. So if we have a list of items, we need to show that they are individual discrete things, as opposed to being one big mess of stuff. To do that, we separate them with commas. So for example, the other animals in the farmyard, the rat, the geese, and the sheep, are amazed at Charlotte's masterful plan to save Wilbur. We see our comma here in our list, our comma here in our list, and our comma here in our list. But can any of you remember what this comma is all about? Remember, it's introductory, okay? Now, if we were looking at our actual list down here, where might we put our commas? On the table was laid a sandwich, a hand grenade, 3 rubber gloves, and 1 ticket to the circus. I'll give you a few seconds to figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. All right, item 1, a sandwich. We need a comma after that sucker. A hand grenade. We need a comma after that sucker. 3 rubber gloves. We need a comma after that sucker right there. That's the Oxford comma. Don't you forget it. That's the only way to do commas. Don't come at me with that non-Oxford comma garbage. And we have a beautiful, well-punctuated sentence. Okie doke. Our final example here will be to use a comma before a quotation. when an introductory phrase with a word like say or reply is in front of the quotation. So if it says, he said this or she shouted that, there should be a comma immediately after that word. So Wilbur says, boom, we need a comma right there before we go into our direct quote. Direct quote. It ends. If we're looking down here at our you try, Alberta screamed, "Get off my lawn." So first we have to identify what is a word that is like says, replied, stated. That would be screamed, which means we need a comma right there. It should go before the quotation marks. All right, guys, you can now finish up your worksheet from yesterday with the comma exercises, and then you can begin revising your own pieces of analysis to improve description, to revise comma usage, and to improve your overall syntax use. Have a